This is a recap of a sailing trip we made in the spring of 2017. We made the trip on Fiddler with a crew of 5. We had Evan, his dad Scott, my brother Carter, there's me, and my dad, the owner and captain. After a lot of preparation getting the boat ready, mostly fixing the radar, AIS, and chart plotter, and some compulsory last-minute repairs, we left the slip late on a Friday. Okay, it is 11:45 at night, and we're motoring past the Kima Boardwalk on the start of a 3 or 4 day trip to Gulfport. We cleared the Galveston jetties just as the sun was rising, and we had beautiful wind, around 15 knots on a close reach. We tuned the sails a bit and we're making 6.5 along the run line. With the sun properly up, we threw out 2 fishing lines, including these little clips that are supposed to help set the hook. And the weather was good enough that it was worth to wipe all the salt off the Dodger from the night before. We settled into a nice rhythm early on and engaged the autopilot to do the tedious work. We still had a long way to go. With the boat settled in, it was time to play with the GoPro a bit. Scott's one of my dad's friends. He'd done a dozen or so offshore trips before, but Evan was new to offshore sailing, but he quickly proved to be comfortable and reliable. The first fish of the trip proved to be anything but. I'd seen birds stalk and even swoop at lures before, but hooking one was definitely a first. We did our best to set him straight, but there's no way to know how he fared in the end. Fiddler kept moving. Still steady winds, still a comfortable ride. We opted for no watch schedule at all during the day, which is not normal for us. We just naturally shifted between whoever was game for being alert at the time. And everyone else could relax, sleep, read, or play with cameras, which was one of my goals for the passage. The next hit on the rod was actually a fish.
What are you thinking?
We had to check the book to identify him as a little toonie. So, we cut him up and put him in the freezer for later.
So you get 2 of those on each side.
Okay. Not much later, our 2-rod setup proved to be a bit of a problem when a hooked fish decided not to play nice, and that took us a while to manage. As the sun fell lower in the sky, our wind continued to hold.
And now it's time to eat.
Lunches were simple sandwiches, but a hot dinner has been a favorite on Fiddler for a long time. Usually stews and casseroles that can be thrown in the oven and served in bowls. And of course, eaten in the cockpit when the weather was like this. The setting sun saw the wind starting to rise a bit, and at nightfall had us settle in to a steady 4 hours on, 6 hours off watch schedule.
It's 1 in the morning. It's windier now. It's blowing up to 20, gusting to 22. So we've reefed down and we've slowed. Not say we haven't slowed. We're still doing 6 knots, 6.5.
A brisk but steady night under reef sails brought a peaceful morning. With only 3 people sleeping below at a time, we were generally very comfortable.
Light about 6.
Yeah, it started at 6 and then the sun came up at 7. Did you sleep well?
Slept amazing.
We caught a few more fish, another toonie and a chub mackerel, but we let both of those go. There are moments in a passage like this where it's busy or fun, and others where it's uncomfortable or even outright miserable. But it offers the occasional magical moment where the isolation in nature or the power in simplicity force a fresh and elevating perspective. I got to have one of those moments on this morning, which we also happened to find ourselves in beautiful blue water. And I had to play with the GoPro a bit to see what I could grab. Keeping on pace with our 6-knot average speed, the rising sun woke the boat. We continued to enjoy our blue skies and water, breakfast tacos. Despite sailing with a roller-furling jib and main, we still got to do a little sporty foredeck work when we had to free and override the furling line after a lazy job shaking a reef overnight. Once we passed the tip of Louisiana, we could fall off into the wind a bit, which made a perfect point of sail for our brand new spinnaker. We'd blown this sail once before in the bay, but this would be the first opportunity to use it offshore. So in 10 knots of apparent breeze, we lifted the sock and let her breathe. We spent the first few minutes struggling to find the right trim, but soon we found the zone and we're back up to our 6-knot average. With the wind easing, we used our last few hours of daylight with the Iron Jenny to try to make it to the marina before dark. On the way in, we passed Ship Island in Fort Massachusetts, where I created some of my fondest childhood memories. It was dark when we finally made it to the Gulfport Municipal Marina, but we tied up without issue and had our traditional landfall shot of rum and took welcome showers. It was a great trip with fantastic weather and an easygoing crew. Hard to ask for more. My dad was going to stay in Gulfport and meet up with my mom and gunk hole over to Florida, but the rest of us, we were taking a car back to Houston. In total, we covered 430 nautical miles in just under 70 hours. We did have to motor a bit, but had a great sail most of the way. We binged S-Town on the way home, which made the trip fly by.
From Serial and This American Life, I'm Brian Reed. This is Shittown.
And that's it. Till next time.